Hello everyone, welcome to FHAlenders.com. We're going to talk a little bit about closing costs and whether there's a no closing cost FHA loan. So the first thing is that there are closing costs associated with every mortgage. It's unavoidable. A lot of these costs are third-party costs that the lender does not control, whether it's an appraisal, title work, recording fees, things like that. This is not a lender-generated fee, so those things need to be paid for. Now the only question though is who pays for it and when. So the optimal way to handle this, to have a no closing cost FHA loan, is to ask for seller credit to help cover your closing costs. They can contribute up to 6% of the purchase price towards closing costs. That's the best way to do it, because then the seller of the home is the one who's actually paying those costs, not you. Now, if you still don't have the money for closing costs and the seller will not cover them for you, you do have a couple of other options. First, you could ask the lender if they can cover your closing costs for you. Now, when that happens, the lender is going to increase your rate. So you really have to understand whether that makes the most financial sense for you. If you do have the closing costs money, but you just don't want to spend it, then look at your difference in payment. If you paid the closing costs versus if you have the lender cover it for you with an increase in rate. So let's say the rate goes up 1/8 or 1/4 of a point. Look at the difference in payment and see how long it will take before the cost of your closing costs are covered by that payment difference. Now, if you are refinancing, you have the ability to roll the closing costs into the loan. So especially if you have some equity built in there. So if you're at the maximum, you're at 100% loan to value, you're going to have a difficult time doing that. But if you have room, you have equity in the home, and you're refinancing, you could just have it all rolled into the loan. But keep in mind, you're going to be financing those closing costs for as long as you have the mortgage outstanding. Whatever the interest rate is that you're getting locked in at, let's say your closing costs are $5,000, you're paying interest on that $5,000 by rolling it into your loan. So you can also look at getting closing cost assistance. There are programs out there, and I will link to an article down in the first pinned comment in the first description that talks about closing cost assistance also, where you could find that assistance maybe in your community or in your state, where you can get a grant or some kind of help to contribute towards closing costs, because we know that those things exist for down payments, but you could also find closing cost assistance too. So hopefully that answers your question on a no closing cost FHA loan. There's always going to be closing costs. It just comes down to who pays for it or whether you have to pay out of pocket at closing. Hopefully this helped you. If you do have any questions or want to get a quote, want to speak to someone, again, just visit one of the links down in the first pinned comment, or just go right to FHAlenders.com. We'll help you there. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time.